Hey YouTubers, it's me, Lonnie Clark, Nuts for Art again. Thank you, Mike Bunch, for telling me that my live feed was not having any sound at all. That saved me from blabbing on for 20 minutes. So I want to thank you for joining me this morning, Mike. Let's see, it's 9:17 in the morning. I'm determined to get to work by 10, so I'm going to make this quick. There's a few things I wanted to talk to you guys about. I thought I'd just rant and rave a little minute. I did do a broadcast on Spreaker yesterday. I'm going to attempt to put the credits in and get the link here, but it was just a quick half-hour show. I did it last night about 9:30. I'm going to be on air at the end of the day at about 9:30 every night on Spreaker, simply because I can't, until I get this thing down, I can't focus. I mean, it's just way too much energy. As you saw this morning, I made an effort to go live. Since I've installed the Spreaker thing on my computer, all the sound, everything's all messed up. But I've had it on my computer for a month and been trying to figure it out. And it's definitely not an easy program, or maybe it's just because I'm not that adept at it. But I am going to be getting some help on that. I've decided, the thing is, I'm so busy, I really honestly can't really deal with the time it takes for me to get this show all set up. So once I get it set up, it'll probably be easy, because recording the show is just click, start, go live, and boom, it posted up. So that part was easy. It's the setting it up, like it captures my speakers. It won't take the right logos. I had logos prepared that it said it wasn't the pixels, which I don't understand any of that means. It needs this and it needs that. And it just was like this big, gigantic hassle. So getting the radio show is going to be up slow, but I do know that it's easy. I figured this part out. For people that want to send me an hour show or a half an hour show, just send me the MP3 and I upload it. And send me your logos and whatever you want and pictures. We need like a long picture and a logo. So if you have any of those ideas, call me at 541-337-4664. Otherwise, I'm just going to be slugging it out with me and Spreaker until I figure this out. I did post up, though. There was a posting. It said it was going to go to my YouTube channel, but I don't see it posting here either. So this is why I'm going on and on about this, because I have been doing this YouTube channel for probably 5 years now. It's 2018, almost done. And I know I came on and I didn't ever really promote my show, but I listened to other people, activists, and to me, it just seems like they're half-cocked. The people that are popular, I mean, I know they were the whole big hullabaloo about, oh, they took Alex Jones off the internet. Now they're going to start slamming out the truth. Well, I'm glad personally. I want to make this public statement. I'm personally glad that Alex Jones was taken off the air. The guy is a slime ball, and I believe for a long time that he's been backed by the Koch brothers. He was paid intentionally. He became a multimillionaire promoting his info wars. He told you exactly who he was. He was having a war on information, and it's hit its climax with the dotard as a president, with the complete idiot as a president, the lying, thieving thief of a president. That people, I almost got sick this morning. I heard some guy on television this morning saying how he like Donald Trump, because if you come to this country, expect your kids to be thrown in a cage because you shouldn't be coming here. What kind of attitude is that? These are the same Americans who came across the states and had no problem raping and pillaging the Native Americans and destroying their culture. This is the same type of white mentality, white male mentality, that has harmed our planet and looks at Muslims and people of color as threats to their identity. So, you know, I'm personally really sick of this whole idea of everything that you say has to be promoted on YouTube. I think YouTube and Spotify, all these, they're private entities. They don't have to carry anybody. It's not about blocking anyone. My station's been up here for 5 years. Now, do people want to hear the truth? No. That's why I have one viewer. Hi, Mike. And probably several hundred people who listen, because I don't go into these conspiracy theories. I mean, I have said some of my own, conspiracy theories. Like, I actually do believe Donald Trump was put in place by the CIA. He was set up all along. I think it's good cop, bad cop. And I think that he was placed in power so that we could have, now that I'm reading this book, oh my God, it puts it into perspective why they needed Donald Trump right now. They needed somebody with more nerve than Carter's got liver pills and actually no regard for human life at the top of the food chain. Because Donald Trump has no regard for human life, not even his own. He's a pathological murderer, and he could care less. They probably take pride in the fact that they're torturing little brown children. So that's kind of how I feel. But I'm going to be doing my radio show, The Age of Fission. I'm going to be doing it at night at first until I get the thing down, just because it's such a hassle to wake up in the morning and get this thing going. But I'm going to be doing interviews, and when I get interviews, I will post them also. I'm going to make sure that my interviews that I do for the Age of Fission get posted here on YouTube. It's supposed to go to all these other venues, which I've got to call them because I don't see it up. I did do a radio show yesterday, and I was looking around, and I couldn't find it. So this thing on Spreaker is going. It's a bumpy start, but maybe that means it's going to be successful. Maybe that's what that means, is that finally we get people to wake up. Like, one of my big things, and I really am going to do another, I think I told you guys this, I'm going to do a radio show called The Flamin' Liberal. That's going to be the title of my show, because I am up to here with people who are libertarians who hate the government but love their Social Security checks, like, really? I mean, I have been talking about the fact that we need democracy. We don't have democracy in our country, and it's not because of the Koch brothers. It's because the Koch brothers, well, maybe it is, because the Koch brothers spent a lot of money convincing Americans that your vote doesn't matter. So now we have more than 30%, only 30% of the actual electorate actually votes in our country, which is why we have the severe problem. But again, we've got this stuff going on. They brought Nazi Germans, who was it? A major general to head our NASA program. The Americans sold us out. Let's just put it to you this way. We got sold down the river, literally sold down the river, when World War II happened. They brought in Operation Paperclip. This book, Weapons in Space, is talking about Operation Paperclip. And it is just beyond comprehension. So why did I retitle this Making Activism Matter? Part of what I really want to get out there today, there's so much. I haven't really ranted in a long while. But there's so many things going on in my head about this. With this thing with Alex Jones being taken off the air, I'm glad. I am glad Alex Jones is a racist bigot who has seriously caused major harm to how we see ourselves as American. He has really cornered us back into a box. The little white male, only Anglo-American box can be Americans. And I personally am glad Alex Jones is off the air. I think he was a despicable character who was motivated by greed and a sideshow con artist, like in the ballpark of Donald Trump. Him and Donald Trump were simpatico. In fact, he promoted Donald Trump quite a bit. In fact, he promoted this whole idea that Donald Trump is fighting the deep state, as if Donald Trump is anything outside of the deep state. He surrounded himself with military men. And oh yeah, I hear Alex Jones now saying, well, that's because he wants to bring his enemies closer. Keep your enemies close, your friends close, and your enemies closer. I mean, we have gotten so gaslit in this country. And I've been really thinking about this because when I first got onto YouTube, everybody knows I promoted Kevin Blanch quite substantially. I really didn't want to come out publicly. I wish I had spent all that money on myself promoting anti-nuclear or nuke truthing. I don't want to call myself an anti-anything, but nuke truthing. Because honestly, again, it is my own pathology. I have been studying narcissism for the last year and a half. And I get it that I participated in it. It has to do with my own maladjusted upbringing, and I apologize to you guys for that one. But the fact is, somewhere in my brain, I really got it that people don't want to hear women; they want to hear men. And that's what we're dealing with. I mean, why is it that Maxine Waters is demonized? Because she's a woman and because she's black. But frankly, Maxine Waters is completely right on in terms of what she's demanding. Trump needs to be impeached. He is a criminal and a thief. And I frankly admire Maxine Waters. And I loathe Alex Jones. So that'll tell you where I'm at in terms of being a flaming liberal. But how do we make activism matter? This is the question. This is kind of the root. I'm going to be having a show called on Spreaker called The Flaming Liberal. I'm going to put it out. I think I'm going to put it out tonight, maybe tonight. For sure, I'm going to do the Age of Fission radio show on Spreaker at 9:30. It might come off as the Lonnie Clark show because for some, these are all the details. I haven't been able to get in touch with anybody at Spreaker. It's all through the internet. And if anybody decides they're going to do Spreaker, don't do it. The service sucks. You can't get in touch with anybody. The software is not good, but I'm invested and I'm going to slug it out and make it work. Mostly because there's no refunds. So I'm going to make it work. Doggone it. But, the world is fucking collapsing. I'm just going to put it straight out there, man. We are collapsing. We're not in the middle of it. It's not coming. The New World Order is not coming. It's here. Donald Trump rolled in the New World Order, which is squashing us all. And the interesting thing about the internet and all this stuff that they want us to, we're out here live, we're talking, we're interacting. Gerard Kenyatte Hay, who is on Facebook, and he interviewed with me. He does a live stream on Facebook every single morning. And he talks about the colonizers and how he just totally doesn't believe in government. But this is the thing. We haven't really ever had we haven't ever taken advantage of the government that we have. We have had resources at our fingertips that we've just let slip by because nobody wants to get involved, because people are afraid of the government. And what we really do have, and I saw this written, I think it was either in the Washington Post or the New York Times in an op-ed this morning, we have a deficit of courage in this country. And we have just got to stop being cowards and stand up to bullies like Donald Trump and Alex Jones and all the fascists with guns. All those freaking white males who think that they know everything and they can lie their way through anything and nobody's going to challenge them. I think, at what point do we stand up? And I get it. My channel only has a few hundred viewers. An old grandma type lady. Nobody really wants to watch me because I talk about nuclear. And when I do rant and rave, it's so far left. I've been called far left. I don't think I'm far left. I think I'm far right. In fact, I think I'm completely right on the humanity side, on the side of humanity. At what point are we going to start being humane? The planet is freaking collapsing around us. We have a collapsing environment. We don't have much time, maybe 50 years at most. At what point are we going to start becoming humane? So I'm going to be doing the Age of Fission radio show where I'm going to be talking about nuclear contamination, interviewing activists. When I get interviews, I'm going to schedule them at an hour that the person wants to hear it at, since I have complete flexibility. So maybe the hours of when I'm going to be on the Spreaker thing are going to change, but you can always find my podcast. There is an ability to chat with me while I'm live on the Spreaker show. So I'm going to be figuring all of that out. It's going to take me a few more months, guys, because I honestly don't have the time to devote to it, and I don't have any technical assistance, and it's almost impossible to get in touch with Spreaker. So I'm going to be coming back to YouTube and appreciating my viewers here and thanking you so much for joining me and really caring enough. Honestly, that's really what it's about, is that we care. We're the few who care. And how do we make this activism work? And that's kind of the question. For a while, I thought it really mattered that somebody went out there and said whatever they felt and, talked about stuff nobody wanted to talk about. But there's lots of people out there talking about stuff. So the question is, what becomes popular? Really, what is the popular thing? The popular thing is to knock those in power, to call people, to marginalize people. I mean, all these things is to say, oh, well, we have the inside scoop. We know what's going on. And, they're finally fighting the deep state. Well, the deep state is the industrial military complex. Let's just be perfectly clear about who the deep state is. The deep state is the military, the omnipresent military. And anybody who knows anyone in the military ought to be talking to them about becoming conscientious objectors. We would not have drone strike fighters if their family members shamed them into dropping bombs on innocent people. I mean, this business of we have this war where people can go murder each other without even feeling the pain of it, except to have your own nightmares, because you can't get away from that. So we have a lot on our plate, you guys. I'm going to end here. I am determined to get to work by 10 o'clock, so that's kind of what's motivating me. I'm going to be back on the radio show tonight at 9:30 on Spreaker. I think it's either going to be called The Lonnie Clark Show or Age of Fission. I don't know how it's going to go. The Flaming Liberal Show, I'm going to start posting up. I think I'm going to do like a half an hour show on the Flaming Liberal Show, talking about news articles and things that are going on in the news from a Flaming Liberal point of view. So I appreciate the two of you watching me. Yay! Thank you. And I would venture to say it is, two of the people that have always followed me, so I wouldn't be surprised. There's a handful of people who always show up here, and I really appreciate it. What I want to do is make our voice expand. The few of us that are here, the question is, how do we make our voices expand? Yesterday here in Eugene, Oregon, they had the Hiroshima Day. Honestly, it makes me spit nails. My friends were kind of stunned that I couldn't go down there. We have something called the Alton Baker Park, and every year on Hiroshima Day, they go down and they put these paper candles, and it's this very somber, beautiful thing of putting candles on the lake and watching them float into the little man-made lake there here in town. And there's usually 200 or 300 people there that show up on Hiroshima Day. And for me, it makes me spit nails, because we cannot talk about closing. Louisa Hamajek went down there and handed out a flyer that she made up to close the Columbia Generating Station. We can't talk about Fukushima. We can't talk about the fact that radioactivity is all over Tokyo, that we're going to have the radioactive Olympics this year for the first time. This is such a crime against humanity. And then when you go out there to these, the commemoration out there, people look at me and go, you shouldn't really be talking about this. This is like not about Fukushima. Yes, it is. It is to me. The Hiroshima Day is all about Fukushima. And in fact, it's the same thing. We allow people to get contaminated, and then we make a beautiful ceremony and brush them off. It's beyond comprehension. So this is what I mean. How do we make our activism matter? I personally boycott that thing because it makes me spit nails. I can't go down there and be quiet and somber. I want to talk about Fukushima. I want to talk about the radioactivity that we have now discovered is every fucking where in our country, and our children are being killed. Did you guys see that article this morning talking about finally the government is acknowledging that radioactivity might kill people, and they're calling that an advance? John Goffman told us this over 40, 50 years ago. The scientific studies were firm, not incomplete. They were firm. Radioactivity causes cancer, diabetes, autoimmune diseases, and autism. We know that for a F-A-C-T, fact, not fat, not like Donald Trump. Fact, real truth. I mean, this is what makes me spit nails, you guys. This is what makes me come back to my YouTube channel. This is what's making me push through this thing with Spreaker, because even if the whole world goes to shit, at least we can at least identify with each other that some people are attempting to make a difference in terms of people's humanity, because that's what's been lost, is people's humanity and their courage. So it doesn't take a lot to be kind to each other. And yes, I get ripped off. Every person except for Kevin Finnegan that I've helped out has basically fundamentally ripped me off, right? I can only do what I'm supposed to do, what I feel called to do. I cannot account for the way people respond to my generosity. I've been studying it though, through studying narcissistic patterns of behavior. And narcissism requires another person to participate with the narcissist, and that's me. And I've understood that it happens to be because of my psychological upbringing, because I was reared by complete monsters. My parents were psychologically totally 100% mentally ill people. And still, my dad still is. He's checked out. My mother, God bless her soul, is dead. Thank God. I know. I'm not supposed to say that about my mother. Fuck them. I don't care. I mean, this is the thing. When I say I'm going to have a show called The Flaming Liberal Show, this is where I'm going to go. Because I'm really sick of watching my words. And I personally, super happy that Alex Jones is off the airwaves. I think Alex Jones has been a poison pill in American culture. And it is like flaming the KKK to have that rat anywhere on the airwaves. And these were private corporations that kicked him off their venue. And I'm personally really glad. I think he is poison, and I think he's been paid for by the super oligarchs to disrupt America. Mission accomplished, right? But nothing stays the same. It's like Kai Hushka taught us in the democracy school. You push for democracy, the oligarchs push you back down, and it becomes like this graph, right? So throughout our history, we've had a little bit of freedom, got pushed back down, and then we push back up, and then they push us back down, and then we push back up, and then they push us back down. So that's kind of where we're going, up and down, up and down. But democracy matters. Tell people who are living in a complete fascist state. Tell the people that it doesn't matter. It does matter. It does matter that we participate in our government, because if we don't have a government, something's going to create. We're going to have some form of government. So we either have a government formed by the people, or we have a government for the military, which is basically what we have right now. We have a government for the military right now. As this book has highlighted, this is a little tiny book. We're just about finished. Whenever I come up to the end of a book, I always kind of get sad because I hate to have it end. But I'm glad I read this book on my YouTube channel, because now we know that we have the names of the Nazis who started in NASA. It's freaking shocking. But you know what? You don't know what you don't know until you don't know it, right? So that's where we're at. We're beginning to realize we didn't know it. And we're like, only we're frogs in a pot of boiling water, and it really is too hot to jump out. So the question is, how do we make ourselves comfortable, I guess? And how do we, what's the level? What are we going to tolerate? Where do we go? And how do we make our activism matter? There's a few people who listen in and out. And so how do we make it matter? What do we do to change the tide? My thing is we have to behave correctly ourselves. We have to motivate ourselves and act accordingly to what we think is the correct thing, and live with a high level of integrity. Now, does that mean that we have to call out liars? And I actually do regret this. There have been people that I promoted that have lied. And I didn't call them out immediately when they lied, because I didn't want to ruin their following, because I liked some of that idea. But lying doesn't help. Exaggeration doesn't help. The problem with a lot of the people that are out there doing it is they're really hardcore narcissists. And so the whole show has to run around them, right? So no matter what they're studying, they think that they're the smartest. They think they're the ones that understand it the best. And then what happens is, as activists, is we get really low grade level information, which is why the so-called anti-nuclear organizations, they have blown off. I mean, honestly, it was very hard to get interviews for the Age of Fission radio show. And when I take it back up, I imagine it's going to be hard again, because they are not interested in talking to people. They don't know me. I tell them that I'm a YouTuber. They think I'm some kind of a lunatic. In fact, Levy and I had this conversation. She's like, well, really, the YouTube community is not at all respected at all. And I think a lot of that has to do with Alex Jones, frankly, and Kevin Blanch. I think Kevin Blanch has really, while he has helped the anti-nuke community, he has seriously harmed it, because he exaggerates to the point where people can prove his lies. He even makes historical references to Hamilton that are just complete bullshit. I mean, Does he get people out there? Is he still, if I was Kevin with cancer and having been the victim of my dad being a nuclear veteran, you bet I'd be out there spitting nails myself. This is why I have given him a big fucking pass for a long time, because he is a victim of the nuclear industry. It has affected everything. In fact, I think it's given him radiation brain. And I don't know who his family was, but Kevin's intentions are right. That's the point. This is why I never really said anything about it. But at what point do we begin to say it matters how we conduct ourselves? And the things that we say. If we're not sure that we don't know something, we should say, just qualify it with, well, this is what I think it is. Because we don't have to be 100% correct. We're not the experts. I don't know if anybody even ever watched that interview that I did with Chris Busby. But in the Chris Busby interview, I asked him about the Pacific Ocean being destroyed by Fukushima. And he's like, oh, no. Gave me the standard answer. It's too big. It's just way too big. And I'm like, wait a minute. You could say that 3 or 4 years ago, but now we've had 100,000 tons of pollution pouring into the Pacific Ocean daily, nonstop, for over 3 to 4 years. And at what point is the radioactivity going to harm the microscopic life in the ocean? Which is what I think. I think this whole idea that the anti-nukers are denying the fact that radioactive contamination has grotesquely contributed to global warming. One of the things I remember seeing in that movie, Inconvenient Truth, was that chart. Well, this is where we had the carbon emissions. Actually, that's actually where we had the nuclear testing. And no one's ever even, the new N word is you can't say the new nuclear. You cannot talk about nuclear negatively about anything. So how do we make our activism work? That's the thing. How do we get it to make a difference so that people go, wait a minute, we have to ask questions of our local officials. We can't just let them start putting in nuclear power plants everywhere. They want to put in these small SMRs, you guys. So you guys need to pay attention. Anybody who's listening to this video this far in needs to understand that there is still a huge push to put small modular reactors all over this nation. Because it's the one drop rule. They don't give a crap. They know we're all poisoned. It doesn't matter to them. Who cares? There's no stopping it. So they might as well get rich along the way. That's literally their thinking. So anyways, I'll end here. I don't want to go on for too long, you guys. Do put your courage feet on. I want to thank you for joining my channel. I would love to make this channel grow. I think I'm going to put some effort into it in the next year, because that would make a difference. That's what would make activism matter. If there's like hundreds of thousands of people paying attention to the information that's going on here. I'm going to be doing my Age of Fission radio show on Spreaker. Right now it's going to be posting up live at 9:30 at night. And then I'm going to do the Flaming Liberal show. And my goal, I don't know if I can get this one done, but the goal is to do it first thing in the morning, like 6:30, 7 o'clock in the morning. Just go live and talk about the radio shows. It's going to be called the Flaming Liberal show. And I'm going to have the Age of Fission show, which, because you guys know I am a Flaming Liberal. So, but I haven't figured out the time for that one. So maybe it'll be on late at night also until I figure out the kinks. But at some point, I'm hoping to fill my 21 hours with other people's podcasts, like Dave Parrish. I'm hoping that he can, gives me permission to at least put up his Friday Fuku things, which if you guys are not following Dave Parrish, highly recommend it. Probably every one of my listeners also subscribe to Dave Parrish on YouTube. He does Fuku Friday. Every Friday, he puts out a little 10, 15-minute video. Super worth it, because guess what? He's making activism matter. And Dave has given some really good advice to me many, many times that's kept me going. So I totally love and value Dave's work. And I know that Dana Durnford's back from the ocean. He needs some pennies, so whatever. In fact, he needs big bucks. So if any of us can contribute to him, I would also, I know Dana tells me to fuck off, but I love Dana's work, and I do love Dana. I think he's done great work. So if anybody can contribute to Dana, please give Dana money, because he is doing really valuable work, going up and down the coast, documenting things. And I don't know, follow Guy McPherson. I like Guy McPherson. You can listen to him. Nature Bats Last. That's the name of his podcast, I believe, on YouTube. Um, Anyways, you guys, we'll talk to you soon. Put your courage feet on. Thanks for joining me. And talk to you guys again. Ciao. And maybe you guys can like chime in on my radio broadcast and we could like chat in the chat room with that if I'm even capable of doing that. So, anyways, bye. Talk to you later.